How's it going, guys? I'm Brandon from Woodworks. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be on this little simple DIY outdoor side table. It brings a lot of functionality to any outdoor space and looks great. Let's get to the build. For this project, you will need two 8-foot 2x2s, two 8-foot 1x2s, one 12x24-inch ceramic tile, some outdoor rated construction adhesive, and some outdoor rated finish. I decided to use redwood for my table because it does really well outdoors, but cedar is another great option. I started out by cutting all 4 legs over at the miter saw. If you don't have a miter saw, you could also use a circular saw or a jigsaw, or even a hand saw if you need to. Then I grabbed the 1x2 stock and cut the 2 runners that will be used for the bottom shelf. And then I went back to the 2x2 material to make the frame for the top. I made 2 longer pieces for the sides, and then 2 shorter pieces to go in between the ends of those for the ends. Once I had the pieces for the frame cut, I laid them all out and I could start the assembly. However, this was a mistake in the building sequence, and I'll show you why in a minute. I used a bit with a built-in countersink here and pre-drilled all my holes. I secured the frame with some 2.5-inch brown decking screws that are rated for the outdoors and Titebond 3 wood glue, which is waterproof so it'll hold up in wet conditions. When driving in the screws, I tried to keep everything as square and flush as possible, and I drove in 2 screws per corner, staggering them in a diagonal pattern. After the frame was done, I could attach the legs. I just pre-drilled and drove in 1 screw per leg, making sure not to hit the other 2 screws that I used previously. Now's a good time to remove any glue squeeze out. I like to use these glue spreading brushes called Type brushes from Titebond, or a plastic drinking straw also works well. So here's that mistake I was talking about. When trying to attach the runners for the bottom shelf, I didn't have room to get my impact driver in there, so I detached one set of the legs, attached the runners, then I could reassemble everything. Back over at the miter saw, I cut all the slats that would make up the bottom shelf out of the remaining 1x2 stock. I cut 2 smaller slats to fit between the legs. Then I just laid out the rest on the runners and used a 3/4 inch piece of scrap to space them out evenly. I attached the 2 outside pieces with a drop of glue and some brad nails. I laid one of the slats on the runners and centered it, marking where it was lining up, and then transferred those marks to all the other slats. I want to take this time to let you guys know that I'll leave links to everything I use in this video in the video description. I also have detailed plans with measurements and images available for this project that I will link as well. If you're new to the channel and like this style video, please consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I drop new videos. Thanks a lot. I found it was easier to stand the table up on end for this part, and then using a dab of glue, my spacer, reference lines that I made, and a brad nailer, I could attach the rest of the slats. I used my orbital sander to flush up all the joint lines and give everything a light sanding with 180 grit. I also used a sanding sponge to break over any sharp edges or corners. So a while back, HomeRite sent me this small spray shelter, and I finally had a chance to use it. As you can see, it sets up in literally seconds, almost hit me in the face, and is ready to go. I'll leave a link to this as well in the description for you guys. As I knew this table was going to be outside, I wanted something that would stand up to the elements. I used a can of satin spar urethane. I applied 4 coats overall, letting it cure completely between coats. When applying, you just want to take your time and apply thin coats to avoid any buildup or runs. After the finish was cured, I flipped the tile over and centered the frame on it, making reference marks so I would know where to place it once the adhesive was applied. I used some outdoor rated construction adhesive and I applied a good amount to the top of the frame. Then, being careful to line up with my marks, I got it back in place and pressed down firmly in several spots. I let it sit for about 5 minutes and then carefully flipped it over while holding the frame to the top. After making sure it was all nice and even, I put some weights on top just to hold pressure on it while the adhesive cured. The next day I came out and removed the weights, and this project was finished. I hope you guys enjoyed this build. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share, leave me a comment below. Also, if you decide to make this table from the plans, I would love to see it. Follow me over on Instagram at walkers_woodworks and DM me a pic of your completed project. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.